Hello, everyone and internets. Welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. We're here to answer your support questions if you have any, and you can ask us directly by joining our IRC chat at foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live. We'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have about our software or things in general. Or if you just want to talk to us and say, hey, what's up? I'm more than happy to talk to you there. And otherwise, I got some things coming up here, but let me get set up on the IRC server myself. So how is everyone doing this Wednesday?
I'm doing good.
Very good.
Is it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday, also known as Trash Day.
Yes.
And we finally remembered to take out the trash after 2 weeks of missing it. So,
You may have heard already.
Stop yelling. I have a couple of links, not too many today. I thought they were kind of fun. So this is a link on the Jar Jar Binks theory that Jar Jar Binks is actually like a super Sith Lord, higher than Emperor Palpatine even, or higher than the Emperor. And I think it's just pretty likely. And apparently, because everyone hated Jar Jar Binks so much, George Lucas actually changed what he was talking about for those. So he originally, I guess, was going to have Jar Jar Binks come out as being a super evil person, not just the dumb creature that they added for children. But because of the huge backlash he got, he ended up changing it for some reason. I'm not quite sure.
That's because he's a pansy and he has to back down to social pressures.
He's just a character I wish never had existed.
And in his not the character. I mean George Lucas. George Lucas is a pansy who has backed down to social pressures, and it's only because he took too damn long in doing this anyway, or he's completely full of it. And he's like, oh, I really meant to do something cool with that, but never mind. Since y'all didn't want it, never mind. He's trying to play it off.
That's actually a good way to do it.
That sounds very likely.
Well, we don't have to worry about him anymore because he's not doing any of the future Star Wars, which apparently there's going to be 5 more every year after this upcoming released one.
Good golly.
5 more what?
Star Wars movies. Like you're saying, Lucas took too long. Disney is not taking too long. They're gonna
every year.
Yeah, they've already started and are in progress of filming the one that's going to come out next year at the same time. And then the year after that, you're going to get the 9th one, or wait.
Yeah,
this
2
one,
years.
Yeah, this one's the 9th one. 2 years, you'll get the 10th one. 2 more years, you'll get the 11th one. But in between each year, they're going to have like a interim story. So next year you're going to have a movie that's based on a different story.
So they're going to make the franchise worth something. Or they're
No,
going
they're
to
just
try
going
to.
to try to get every
But
bit.
they're going to ruin it to classic people, but they're really going to probably make it worth something because it's
honestly,
actually quite valuable, and if they can maintain some of the same elements that got our generations into it so heavily, and then just mass roll it and just as our society consumes things in mass like that over and over and over again.
as long as they don't screw this movie up, that's the one I care about now.
I don't know. I mean, I think they've paid attention to people like us and the prior generation that went and saw it in theaters, and I think for this story saga, I think they've paid attention and they're not going to ruin it. But maybe the other saga, they might just go all out on it. But either way, they are definitely going to be making bank off of it. In follow-up to that, if you want to watch the first 6 movies in under 3 minutes, you can now do that thanks to YouTube. Well, thanks to someone who posted it on YouTube.
I watched on YouTube somebody had took the first 3 movies and mashed them down into an hour and a half, and that was actually enjoyable. They cut out all the crap.
That's what this one is, but it's all 6 movies in 3 minutes.
Yeah. If you want the condensed version, just get the Family Guy version.
I don't think I've seen that one.
They've only done episodes 4, 5, and 6, though.
It's fun, though.
It is.
The
first Family Guy is Blue Harvest. That's episode 4.
The 3-minute one is basically just storyline using cutscenes. You don't really get all the action, although you do get to see the planet Alderaan get blown up and the Death Star get blown up. So I thought it was a pretty interesting watch, though. It's only 3 minutes, so what do you got to lose? The last link I have is a guy yelling at a wall to make it fall down. That was just kind of funny. And John G posted a YouTube link to the Chairbacca Coke can, where it's the can of Coke that has Chewbacca's face on it, and it makes the sound. They also have had a chair that does that. See if I can find that one really quick. Yeah, someone just had a picture of Chewbacca and put it on a chair, and this one came out like right before Thanksgiving. That's when I found it. So if this was at Thanksgiving, I'm sure this was being done the entire time everyone was at Thanksgiving dinner. Hey guys, have you heard this? Have you heard it? I didn't even try to do Chewbacca, so don't blame me for that. Anyone else can feel free to make their attempt at it if they'd like. John G says he can't watch it enough, so he would have loved that house at Thanksgiving, apparently. I'm not that big a fan of Chewbacca and his noises. Like, I think it would be cooler if like Chewbacca was a thug.
Mm.
Like he was talking all gangster. And if at some point they shaved his stomach for some odd reason and it had Thug Life tattooed on it, that would be an awesome Chewbacca. Oh, there's then other news that Tupac is coming out of hiding from Cuba.
Is he bringing Elvis with him?
I don't know. But Elvis is more
What
than
was
likely
Tupac in hiding in Cuba for?
because he wanted to get out of the limelight and he took advantage of him almost being shot to death and he went and hid in Cuba.
Why
And
would
now
somebody
he's
want to shoot Tupac?
reintegrated. What? Why would someone want to shoot Tupac? Because back
That's
in
not very
the
smart.
back in the
Hmm?
90s, there was this big East Coast West Coast rap war going on between Biggie and Tupac.
I know, but didn't somebody shoot Biggie a long ass time ago?
Yeah,
Both
but
of them
they
got
shot
shot.
Tupac at the same
This was a long time ago too with Tupac.
Where's Tupac? Is Tupac been in hiding all this time?
No, I
Tupac
think
has
he's
been in
dead.
hiding, but Biggie died. Biggie is
Well,
definitely
so Tupac's been in hiding all this time? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
6 feet
That's
underground.
what they say.
I think he's really dead.
I don't. I think he's really alive. He made deals with Eminem so he could
I
release stuff.
just didn't think he did much. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know where he went.
And why hide
Nick.
out in Cuba? There's far nicer places.
Nick, it happened in like '96.
I don't pay attention to that particular
Yeah.
genre.
But he hid out in Cuba because America's not allowed to go there, so that was the least likely place for him to be discovered. Other than North Korea,
That's so
which
like American pro wrestling. You know, that whole East Coast West Coast thing.
it's like
It's
American
like,
pro wrestling.
yeah. Well, with the hip hop artists, yeah.
Except not
Kinda pro
nearly as entertaining.
Apparently,
Yeah.
John G also found a toilet paper roll that makes the same sound.
Ah.
And John G, you got to be careful about believing things you see on YouTube because sound clips can be easily added to anything. I could like have my can just floating here and add a sound clip to it going to the Chewbacca sound. You got to be careful with that. Those things might not actually be making it. That would actually be a pretty funny video. Just make up random things that it makes the Chewbacca sound, like opening that bag behind me. Or like dropping something on the floor and all of a sudden the sound plays.
Should make.
Or like when I hit my vaporizer, it makes a sound. And John G says he knows, but he'll probably still like it. Well, as long as you're entertained, as the saying goes, are you not entertained? Yes. Yes, we are.
Fixed problems with my kill 'em all. I was just fixed a major problem. I learned a lesson today.
What was
Prepending paths with two backslashes and a question mark and a backslash is what you do before sending it to, or at least a local path. That's how you do it before sending it to a Unicode-aware API.
Mhm.
And that will tell the API to ignore the shell and environment limitations and go with file system limitations. So it'll have a path, max path of 32,767 characters instead of last like 256, right?
Mhm.
Follow me. So I learned today that that doesn't work. I knew that, but I didn't really pay. I looked and looked and looked in MSDN documentation. It does not say, at least nowhere on that page. But the SH operation, SH file operation, W implementation does not accept this format. So I've been using this, and strangely enough, it's kind of like been working on my XP in my development environment for some reason. But when I put it in a Windows 7 test box, it doesn't work. And that's even weird that the more complicated and powerful syntax of and working with the API, usually it like works when you move up in OS and not down,
Well,
But
but that sounds like it's something language specific too.
no, it's not.
Well, I thought
No.
the file sh, is that not language specific?
It's a Windows API. It's not
Oh.
language specific.
Oh. Yeah, that is weird that the newer version hated it more. Although that's not that weird considering Microsoft.
Well, and you're supposed to use a different API in Vista and above, which I was looking into, but it's one of those newer things that older things tend to be more dependable when you can use them. So that's why they make them less dependable in the future versions. That's what they do to them. Less dependable, and from a programming standpoint, from a standpoint of writing tools like we do. Like, we expect a particular file to be in a certain location. We don't expect Windows to pretend that it's somewhere else and redirect us somewhere, for example, that just being one example. But so you usually want to use the older methodology when you can. But that's not always the case, I guess. So I learned a valuable lesson today. So I fixed the problem anyway. And what it was is, when I was rewriting my code, in my old code, I did not have that in D7.2. And as I was writing the base for D7X, Kill 'Em All release, it got plugged into a shared code. So I have I just have like everything going to a Unicode API that could be a directory or path.
Well,
Excuse me. Plug through a filtering, a normalization routine that works those miracles. But I share that among many different subs, and I didn't have it in the shell operation stuff that I used to do. So I didn't notice until recently, when I plugged all that stuff in. I thought, oh, that'd be nice to start using the newer syntax with everything, not just. No, not with everything.
so I got my file thing working. I'm not sure why it ended up breaking, but the
Oh, yay.
folder watch thing is working, so I was going to take some of the newer malware and see if it blocked it. I haven't gotten the newer malware yet, but I did.
Kernelmode.info.
Yeah, I saw your link there. I did end up going through and adding something else that will really end up helping it in the future. I'll show that off here in just a second. All that. And 14. Dang it. Although I did run into a problem and figured out why my program was crashing because I had added something else that I thought would help, but it only made things loop. So I did have the loop thing that you were talking about, but it wasn't based purely on that. So let me get rid of these things, and then I'll share my screen to show this off here. All right. So for anyone that doesn't know, Crypto Prevent 8, one of the big features is going to be Folder Watch, which takes the program filtering, which has been in beta since its release, because the way it was implemented, it causes issues with legitimate programs that like to be launched specific ways, especially Microsoft, who doesn't follow their recommended routes of doing things, of course. But Folder Watch is uh, a new implementation method that takes the hash definitions and applies it in a different manner. Essentially what we're doing is there's only going to be certain folders that you're going to end up getting the malware on, so you're going to be able to watch those folders, and when a file is created there, it'll be checked against the hash definitions and then quarantined if it matches. And we'll show that off right here. So this is the Crypto Prevent service, and before we start it here, this is just a exe file that I have, and I added its hash to the definitions, and I also put it in a subfolder in the downloads folder. But basically, when we hit start here, you'll see that these end up disappearing and going to the Crypto Prevent quarantine folder. So if we go ahead and hit start here, I'm not sure why it stopped, but we'll look more into that in a second. But you can see it went through and quarantined both of those files. And that was what I added to it that I wasn't doing before, Nick, is that before I was just adding the folder watch to watch these folders going forward, but I thought it would be a good idea to scan the folders that are set to watch first and check those files against it. So if the service gets stopped for some reason and didn't get to monitor it, when it starts, it scans the folders that you have set to monitor, and if anything matches the hash definitions, it goes ahead and quarantines it. And renames it. So that is going well, and I'm going to be testing it against some of the newer variants later today, and hopefully we'll be able to have a video on that and show off how version 8 will definitely be able to take care of your newer variants. Currently, the Crypto Prevent does have some definitions to block the newer variants via SRP, but more will be blocked if you're using the program filtering. But with program filtering, you're going to have some convenience trade-off with security, because the additional security, some of your legitimate applications won't launch correctly because of the way it's implemented. So But before, what was making my looping go was I had it set to monitor if files changed. But what caused an issue there is when it caught something and moved it, that was considered a file change. So it was like catching itself and looping itself, and it moved that file, so that file wasn't there when, by the time it checked and found that it needed to quarantine it, and then it was trying to quarantine it again, and just didn't like that. So I was thinking I wanted to figure out some way to do change files, because that would that even need to be watched, do you think? Or just new files that get created?
We'll talk about it.
Okay. I think what I did with the scanning them at the beginning is probably the best.
If you want, you can. I mean, you can. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Maybe a timer thing. To rescan. Anyway. Is John G there, Proctor?
No.
Well, just gonna see if we could talk to him about his Bitcoining.
What
John
about on the
G.
Friday show?
What's that?
How about on the Friday show?
Yeah, we could do that.
What do you think, John? Do you want to talk about Bitcoin miners on Friday? Shows
It don't matter to me. I don't know if I will be on the Friday show, but
I was asking John G.
Oh. Yeah, you're Nick. Not
You're
John.
Nick.
I'm Nick. I have two names, and you call me John sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
That's why I was saying John G. I
Because
can't,
he can.
comma. That's leaving it up in the air. And he said you got burned from that.
Oh.
I'd be interested in it. I've made $1 from having it for a week. And like I said, I'm nowhere near the Terra hash that you would really need to do. Cool, Friday will work for John G, so we'll talk about it on Friday. Nick laughed to himself.
I made a boo-boo.
You made a boo-boo.
Yeah.
Well, that's an ominous way to leave that.
It's a neat little way, speaking of process looping, it's a neat little way to do it. I can't even stop it now, but I'll reboot. My VM. Messing with test build, kill them all. The update system, I did a little doohickey wrong.
Huh. So the oldest living tree is a Norway spruce that is 9,550 years old. And that makes it roughly 3,500 years older than the invention of writing, which is the death of trees.
Wow. Such an outlook.
John G, we'll talk more about what the cost of the Bitcoin mining and stuff on Friday, I think. And Proctor, he says he already has a miner set up at the office.
It's this one.
Oh, I was about to say, if you didn't know about that, you're probably losing power. That is much larger than mine. I'm sure that one is actually a worthwhile one. So,
John, doesn't that require 220? Or will it run on 110?
good grief.
I don't have a 220 outlet at the office.
I have a 220 outlet that my old AC unit used to run off of, and that was the worst thing I ever used for power consumption. But I've been thinking about this would be a good, like, I've been wanting to set up a solar system and batteries, but I didn't have anything that would be economically efficient to run off of it.
This is the funniest thing I've ever heard. I wanted to set up a solar system. I was like, huh? What?
Well, like, just having solar panels and batteries set up and charging off of those, and then having things run off those batteries. But I didn't have anything that was, like, worth putting it on there, because I'd have to make like a super significant investment in batteries and solar panels before I could run any of the stuff that we normally run, like our computer setups and appliances and things like that. All of those, I'd have to have like a full solar panel system set up, which your investment is about $20,000 to get to that point. And there's no reason trying to do it at a smaller scale, which I would be probably buying 1 or 2 panels at a time at most, and then maybe one battery to add on to the battery pack system. But if I could set that up and have the Bitcoin miners running off of that, and then those would be running off free power, which would significantly increase their profitability. But they'd have to pay off the solar panels and batteries at the same time, so still kind of a trade-off, but a more sustainable route. And he says it pulls about 30 amps. It can run off 110, but it's more efficient at 220 volts. How many terahashes does that one do? I'm assuming that one's a terahash.
Yeah.
And he said that one takes 3,000 kilowatts. So that one would not be able to run off a cheap, simple solar setup. You'd have to have your $20,000 one. And it's 4.9 terahashes. So yeah, that's actually pretty decent. Pretty well decent.
Yeah, there were 6 of those running at my old office, and we didn't need heat in the winter. Actually, I think it was too hot in there in the winter.
Imagine.
And loud.
You're like opening the windows in the wintertime.
Yeah, I would open the front and the back door.
Well, I always prefer more heat to no heat, so. I'd rather it be warmer than cold. So what else we got? If anyone's just joining us, you can jump over to foolishtechshow.com or foolishit.com/live and jump in the live chat and talk with us and John G. Be more than happy to answer any questions or talk about anything you'd like there.
Has anyone already mentioned our extended Turkey Day sale?
No.
Oh no.
Okay, we have an extended Turkey Day sale on all Foolish IT products, 20% off through Sunday.
Sweet.
So if you missed our Thanksgiving 30% off sale, you can still get on the action at 20% off through Sunday.
What's the code?
There's 3 of them.
Multiple codes. Leftovers 2015 for D72.
Yeah.
And Leftovers 2015 for any crypto prevent purchases, including bulk and unlimited. And cold turkey for 20% off if you want to upgrade your DMZ. And if you do the 3-month option of D Support Suite, it is turkey sandwich. If you're buying D Support Suite straight, it's Leftovers 2015. Good codes. Good codes.
Tank started it.
That's good.
He started it. It was actually, the code was way more. We had to untank it a little bit.
I forget what it started out as.
It was something, and I loved it though. And Johnny
You
was like,
missed
"No,
the
you
old-
can't do that."
You missed the real sale.
Oh yeah, you missed the real sale, 2015.
That would have been a
We've
little
gone
bit
too
of a-
far by saying that now. You missed the real sale.
I
Here's
told
the
him no.
consolation sale.
Alright, John G. Good luck on fixing his dump truck. That's weird. Dump trucks are really cool though. Like that's like the ultimate post-apocalyptic vehicle, I feel.
You can do a lot with one.
If you have a dump truck, then you're set for the apocalypse. Oh, that reminds me of another cool video.
The Armageddon.
What?
Celebrate good time. Come on. I figured it out. I figured it out.
The Backyard Underground Apocalyptic Bunker by Colin Fuse. This guy made a pretty sweet underground bunker, and he's the one that did the Wolverine claws and the Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade and some other mad scientist stuff. He's got a pretty cool YouTube channel, actually.
Oh, I want an underground bunker.
I do too.
And his is pretty much like
Thanks.
just a cool man cave.
I was going to say, I'll settle for a tank cave. We're out in the mountains, a tank cave.
I was actually really thinking about doing that when I was in Colorado. You can get a piece of property in the national forest and get mining rights for it, and that would be like the perfect cover for setting up a
Underground bunker.
yeah.
Or a cave.
Because you're like,
A
oh,
network
I'm mining.
of many things.
But in the Colorado Rockies, it's a little bit harder to build a bunker since you have to go through like bedrock.
Yeah, you're gonna have to haul some heavy equipment.
Them Flintstones will mess with you if you do that.
We don't have any of their nice
Yabba
dinosaur
dabba doo.
technology. Yeah, I was actually really thinking about that. I was really surprised that you could buy national forest land to do stuff like that. But then I was also very surprised to find out that most of your ski resorts bought national forest property like on the cheap. And so they're making like twice the amount of money if instead of having just gone out and bought their own mountain land. I was kind of upset to learn that, actually.
I'd love to have my own plot of undeveloped land.
Mm-hmm. My grandparents.
I think of
had
that
one of those.
Family Guy with Stewie on the rocking porch talking about it's good to have land. Yeah. Straw in his mouth.
I know which one you're talking about. I'm gonna sit here on my rocking chair.
Yeah. Oh, goody! Michael will join us after a quick bite.
Why would he come up and say that? Because he knows it's going to take him an hour and a half to eat. Well, he said a quick bite, so I guess it's only going to be an hour.
58 minutes.
Yeah. Proctor, is that your new advertising display behind you? I thought I saw quickly that there was a... I'm going to select you.
What are you talking about?
That big box. What's in that
The
big
box
box?
is over here?
Yeah.
Oh, the kids' Christmas presents. They got a 40-inch TV for each of them.
Oh, hopefully they're not watching.
Black Friday deals.
My...
Well, shoot, Ashley might actually be watching it at home on the TV.
I can. God. I had
You
considered
can't have
something
it
like
until
that,
Christmas,
you know,
kids.
What'd you say,
man,
John?
the TVs are. I considered something like that. You know, TVs they were so cheap this year for a decent TV, but I thought because they spend so much time in front of the thing anyway. And when they do, it's as much as it's a pain in the butt. It's almost nice that they're doing it at the one that's around the one that you're around. You know, kind of sometimes. So you know, they're not.
Well, my kids want to, be on some kind of screen all day long, whether it's an iPad, a TV, or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor recommends they only have 2 hours of screen time per day. So what I've done is develop a system where they have tickets and they can buy screen time up to 2 hours. They have 4 30-minute tickets a day with good behavior. And they have to turn in their tickets to get screen time, no matter what device it is.
I like that. We'll have to talk more about that. Maybe on another show.
Okay.
Man, it's just got me remembering the TV I had when I was their age. Little 13-inch black and white with some knobbies on the front.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first TV, and I loved it.
I had a color TV, but it was the screen was gray. You know, it was that old. You know, it was obviously it was a CRT for those of you who don't realize that, but and it was the screen was that old. It was gray, and like it just looked gray, you know, and like light, and it had it had buttons. Okay, it had 13, yeah. but it might have been 14. I don't know, but it was bad. It was a shitty number anyway, and it had just that number of buttons on the front, and that's the number of channels you could hit on the front of that thing. Because and then there was a panel beside the buttons, and you open the panel, and beside each button down in the panel was a knob, and you had the selector, a two-way knob, and you had the selector on the bottom to turn UHF, VHF, or something else, and then you had the tuning knob in the center of that, and you could do that for each one of the buttons. So it was still like an analog what you do TV, and then the button remembered the analog position that you tuned it into.
Wow.
And it had a remote control, and it was this thick. And the remote control could only control the buttons. You know, I mean, it was.
Oh wow.
I don't know what the point of that. It had, with the, because you were literally limited to that many channels unless you wanted to do the knob tuning manually.
Check out the link that John G posted. His TV was a Game Gear with a TV tuner cartridge.
Am I in
not
chat?
even know that
I am in
existed.
chat.
That's pretty awesome.
Oh wow.
I'd totally forgotten about the Sega Game Gear
Oh,
right now.
yeah.
He said it was
Yeah,
horrible.
I didn't have that. Yeah, I didn't have that.
I still
horrible,
have my
huh?
Game Gear.
Maybe that's why no one really talked about it.
I liked the Game Gear. You said it was horrible for TV, which is understandable. But I still have my Game Gear. That was a pretty decent system.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't as nice as the Neo, but the Neo had hardware problems and we had to take it back.
Oh, God. Yeah, I imagine that was horrible trying to watch analog TV on that thing.
Yeah.
Plugs into the cartridge slot. Neat.
And it's got an antenna.
Well, I won't go into what my first television looked like.
He would get a channel and clear, then breathe, and it would be gone. I can imagine. And you probably look pretty dangerous walking around with a Game Gear with a huge antenna coming off, trying to get signal. My grandparents had a TV like you were talking about, Nick.
Oh, yeah. And it was something else.
My grandma's TV is she's got one of them old floor models.
And well, it wasn't, I guess, the biggest deal in the world because if you were going to get if you were of the family that had cable television, then you could, you'd have a cable television box, and you'd just tune that sucker to channel 3, so it wasn't a big deal.
We had the box with the little slide on top of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't even remember the old TVs at my house. Like Nick said, they stayed on channel 3 most of the time, either for the cable tuner or for the console games.
Yeah, you had cable. So you have cable. I never had. I did not have cable until I paid for it myself when I was living on my own.
We actually had in Greenville. They had a test period, and this was in the early '90s of Sega TV. And essentially, what it was is you got a cartridge from the cable company, and you could plug your cable directly into that cartridge, and you would have online streaming games. And this was before you had real internet access on cable. You only had dial-up at that time. But we
Crazy.
had Sega TV, and every month you would get 30 new games. So it was pretty sweet. I can't believe it didn't take off more. I guess it was just because not as many people had Sega versus Super Nintendo.
That's true, and you also will probably note a lot of Sega influence in Nintendo stuff, and don't they own it?
Well, now Sega
When
is
did they buy it? I know they
Well,
own it. When did they buy it?
They don't own Sega.
They
Sega's
don't own Sega.
no, Sega's an independent company that produces games for Nintendo now.
Oh, they just produce for Nintendo now.
Well, now they're just a regular software developer, so they produce for everyone.
But what happened to their hardware division?
I guess they just closed it down.
I thought. Never mind.
I'm looking at their Wikipedia now to find out more.
Yeah, check into that.
Okay, since you're doing it, I'll stop.
Yeah, in 2001, they shifted to a third-party software development. Jesus, there's a lot of reading on it.
Atari still in business?
Yeah.
I think they're just a game developer now.
Yeah, they just develop games for other systems now. But they did not have their own booth at E3 2015. Yeah, it was after their development of the Dreamcast that they gave up on hardware. Which the Dreamcast was a pretty sweet system. Like, my friend had one, and we found out that you could get all the games on for free because they didn't have DRM protection at that time. So he got all the games for his Dreamcast for free. And they were just straight ISOs. Like, you could just take this Dreamcast game, rip it to ISO, and then burn it to CDs. The days before DRM protection. Which doesn't help much because they can emulate PlayStation stuff. There's always a way. But yeah, if you can find the Dreamcast, you'll have all the games for it. If you want to go that route. You probably can't buy games for Dreamcast anymore. You'd be hard pressed to find a Dreamcast. Yeah, they have a game Crazy Taxi on Dreamcast that was awesome. It was like a GTA, but all you had was the taxi missions. And you couldn't get out of the car. You just had to drive around in a taxi all day. But you could crash other cars and run over people and things like that. Oh. So what else we got? Are we gonna die out like the Sega hardware division?
Do any of you guys play any of the current console games? You have a console?
Consoles are worthless. They're just
Of
cheap
what?
computers.
I have a PS3, not the current
They're
one.
overpriced computers, Brantley.
Yeah.
They're overpriced. They're not cheap.
I only paid $50 for mine.
Yeah. Oh, and they're certainly overpriced.
Well,
They are overpriced.
it's,
Yeah,
it's
Matthew wants an
overpriced.
Xbox for Christmas, and I don't know anything about them.
It's overpriced.
I don't know the
for-
first thing. Well, I'll be honest. I don't know the first thing about them either. But I got one. I got one for all of the kids. But there's 4 kids, so it was like a combo thing. They want to play Minecraft, and here's what I did find out: you can't get them an Xbox 360 and let them play Minecraft with their friends who have Xbox One. They have to have Xbox One Minecraft to play with Xbox One Minecraft.
Yeah, that's what I hate about consoles is that
Oh yeah.
segment it basically segments the gaming communities. So, like PC can't play with Xbox, can't play with
And yeah, why can't PC play with Xbox anyway?
Yeah, it's dumb.
Actually,
There's an update to that VPN issue, or I just wanted to clarify what I was talking about yesterday. And this, so basically, only the attacker needs to enable port forwarding. The person affected doesn't have to enable port forwarding.
Hi, Michael. That flowed so well with what we were in the middle of talking about. Thanks for jumping in and just yelling that out there.
No, I didn't hear anything before it, so I didn't know you were in the middle of something.
Because you didn't wait.
Yeah, he just jumped in and said, "There's an update for the VPN issue." Anyway, I was saying that they're cheap PCs because the hardware they have in them is gaming PC hardware, which is, if you tried to buy a computer like that, you would end up paying twice the price that you would pay for a console. But they are overpriced for just being consoles that are so limited to not being able to do anything else other than
Oh, we talking about portable game systems?
no console games.
Oh, in general, yeah. I generally agree. The problem is they have power, but you have to, sort of develop a game. Well, I don't know. I mean, you could develop your game, and your game can have internet access. I mean, you can give yourself, I guess, but the developers are making games, and if you want to do more than games, you don't have a whole lot of options.
I mean, I would say you'd be better off paying twice the price to get a similar powered PC and be able to do 100 times more than you can do with a console for half the price. So
The flexibility, yeah. Just don't like to be limited this day and age. The hardware itself is getting, I believe, less and less meaningful. It can be whatever, but you still need access to basic functionality. You need to be able to surf the web. You need email. You need several basics, but you don't have to. There's nothing by design made them have to have these walled garden things. But of course, that's capitalism, and that's how they got to be as big as they did, those companies that are behind those things. But as you've seen, as Nintendo has certainly realized, it's a little bit harder to compete. And Xbox One and PS4, I think, are there may continue to be things like that, but I believe there's always going to be the PC gamer, and they're always going to appreciate the additional flexibility that they have and the much larger community that they have to get involved in. Right? I mean, ultimately, that's something to mention.
The gaming console communities are actually larger.
They are actually larger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would that be, despite there being far more
Because of the same reason that I dislike consoles, because they have so much marketing and bargaining power. So, like,
that's true. They do force your hand.
Perfect example. Grand Theft Auto started out as a PC game, and Grand Theft Auto 5, their most recent release, was only available on PlayStation and Xbox for the
Mm.
first year that it was out, and that's because those
Yeah, PCs
consoles
always
have
come second
such
usually. Yeah.
bargaining power
Hmm.
to limit it. And then, granted, they did take the extra effort and uh, make the version of the PC one like much nicer. Like it's actually got better graphics and it's more well refined, and you can do more hacks on it and
Yeah, yeah.
change all the cars to be real actual cars and things like that. Um, so like there's benefits to it, but because of the bargaining power that Sony and Microsoft have, they're able to force game developers to not allow their products to go out to all the systems that they would probably want to go out at one time. So
Yeah, so that's just horrible, and so that's really sad too that that's taken place. And of course, all the and if you're a gamer and you want the newest games the quickest, you don't want to have to wait for it to be ported to a PC, and but I would demand it. I think those gamers are allowing themselves to be fed off upon. I think the people in the know, like I guess as always, are going to do what's both more economical and usually more versatile. And that's certainly where the PC falls in. I mean, that's and that's another point. I mean, in this whole process, think about it. The current base level of PC video power, as far as graphics and gaming performance is concerned, that current level is in excess of what it is on the gaming console side. So you pay several penalties to put up with very high prices and early access to games.
well, now they're coming out with a lot of the streaming services. Like if you do have an Xbox One, which Nick, did you end up getting an Xbox One?
Yeah.
You can actually
Yeah.
have your Xbox One on, and through your Windows 10 system, you can play your Xbox One games on your computer.
I mean, but here's the thing. I would never want to do that. Why would you ever want to do that? I would want, because then I'm going to be playing a low quality game on my
Why
on my
would you
nice
want to do
computer.
that? Because maybe someone else is in your living room watching TV, and they don't want to have you playing Xbox.
I got
Well,
Minecraft for the
that's
Xbox.
that's
I got Xbox, and I know you can play Minecraft on it. I know he's got a Kindle. I got it for the Xbox. I don't want to play it on my computer. I don't want to play that game on my computer.
Well, they have other games for it. It's not you didn't buy a console that you can only play Minecraft on.
well, maybe he did.
I think that's the only reason Matthew wants one.
Well, yeah, that is.
It is the only reason why it wants one.
Yeah. Okay, so there's
It's
a lot.
amazing. It's
For a
amazing
solitary
what
person.
it's amazing what can sell hundreds of dollars of machinery.
I saw an
To
awesome
a
meme
child.
today.
Yeah, so they're basically selling crack to our children and having the children reach into our wallets to pay for it,
That's
right?
Yes.
It's been that's how children
Yeah,
advertising has always been, Michael.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not what
horrible.
you do.
That's
Welcome
horrible.
to
Use the
adulthood.
children.
Yeah.
And parenthood. Oh wait, never mind.
So on the
That's
Minecraft
right.
thing, I saw an awesome meme today.
No babies for
So
me.
Lego came out with, and the world thanks you. Lego came out with a Minecraft Lego. So you can now play Minecraft with Legos, which Minecraft is just playing Legos on the computer screen. So
Yes, now you've gone into a whole a loop, some sort of what is reality at that point. And I don't know if this is what, well, I don't know anything about parenting, but I'm not
Legos
so
is
sure.
regular.
How do our kids not go insane under all this pressure? I'm surprised our kids turn out well at all, given all the advertising pressure that's exerted upon them, given all
The pressure's on us.
yeah.
Well,
They're the tool.
Well, yeah, I guess so. They don't have to deal with the nuances of actually paying, right? So,
The pressure of
Well, why
wanting
do we
something they see on
tolerate it?
TV. Oh dear. Michael.
I guess what's the only solution to that is some.
That's like been the age-old issue with kids is that the media advertises something that they have to have, and their friends get it, and then they don't have it, so then they have pressures. And
Geez, they advertise better than the Bible. Apparently.
I don't think so. I think that's still much better advertised.
Well, really? I think a lot
Yeah,
more
you
people.
don't see game consoles on the back of every dollar, do you?
He has a point.
Yeah.
I think they have a little bit more advertising power in the churches.
Mm. So they've been entrenched longer, so that may change. I don't know.
Yes, they have had a few thousand more years of honing their advertising abilities.
Exactly. Yeah, you'll go to hell. You'll die. Yeah, we can't. Most other people don't threaten their consumers with death, right? Oh.
All right, so maybe we should have died out with the Sega hardware division, but
I think so.
Oh, why are we talking
Oh
about
my.
consoles? I'm
so
not.
that's our sacrilegious show today. If you would like to watch more, we'll be back tomorrow without the sacrilegious stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and end it on that high note.
Oh, jeez.
Be sure to tune in tomorrow, 4 p.m., and join our IRC chat if you want to ask us questions. And don't forget our 20% leftover sale. We had too many leftovers, so we're passing the savings on to you. So everyone have a great rest of your week, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye, Internet.